Where arts and adventure summits the airwaves. This is the Ogden Arts and Adventure Show. I'm R. Brandon Long, along with the Oberndorfers, Todd and Cory, which is this is the first time ever we've had two Oberndorfers on the show. I know it's weird, but it's true. This is the first time that we can say that we've had two Oberndorfers on the show. We're your hosts for the greatest podcast in all the land. Todd, where are you, and what are you doing with this brother of yours?
Well, the goal was not necessarily to see Cory. It was to see this little creature, this Penny, Cory's little newborn. And so that's who we should be starring today.
The baby.
She's enough, yeah. But she's off. Just know that she's right there behind me. So she'll be turning 4 months next week, I think. 4 months next week. So that's why I came out to visit. And the bonus to see Cory and his wife Libby. I know Cory, I talk about them all the time. But I never come out here very much. So
yeah, but Cory just needs to know it's not about Cory, it's about Penelope. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, once you have a kid, knows. Nothing in life is about you anymore, right? Like you just sacrifice all of that. So
yeah, everybody else knows this.
Yes, that is true. Well, in studio here, we've got Lorie in the corner. Nobody puts a Lorie in the corner. But Lorie is in the corner, sun shining on her, even though it's snowing outside, which is very nice. It's high tech. And Eddie Buckley, so Lorie and Eddie Buckley. Eddie with 50/50 BMX, representing adventure. And then Cory, you're our artist today. So and we got adventure and arts. I mean, Lorie could be arts as well, but I think we'll have Lorie back separately for specifically arts, but you can chime in anytime. Eddie's our adventure. And then Cory, we were looking, I was stalking your Facebook page today because Eddie said, well, what kind of art does Cory do? And I don't know how to explain it. And so I just said, well, he paints popsicles.
Yeah.
You're a frozen refreshment artist.
A frozen refreshment artist.
Which is amazing.
Yeah. Explain yourself, Cory.
I mean, yeah, that's my entire artist statement, my professional thing. I paint popsicles. Yeah.
And the thing is, Brandon, people pay a ton of money for his popsicles. And so,
I'm sure they do, yeah.
I'd pay some money for a popsicle. Popsicles are amazing.
Yeah.
But I think as we get to know Cory a little bit better, he hasn't always been about just the popsicle.
No, Cory, let's get to know you first, right off the bat. So talk to me, Cory. Did you struggle at Weber State?
Yeah, let's talk about Weber State, shall we?
Hey, get right into that.
Yeah, what was the problem there? Was there one?
Did I struggle?
Yeah,
No,
as an art student.
It was all right. I had studied multiple other things before fine art. Like I was in theater and film and did like some of that stuff professionally, and then went back to school and went to Weber State for my visual arts degree. And so, I had a little bit of experience of life under the belt. And then maybe you're alluding to the fact that I couldn't get into the program. Is that it?
I believe that's what I've heard from Todd, was that you were rejected from the arts program at the very prestigious arts academy, Weber State University.
Multiple times.
Multiple? What? Yeah. Well, how? Are you the only one?
They didn't want me. Eventually though, the thing that won them over, the third time that I applied as part of my portfolio, I did the 8-foot tall paintings of my previous rejection letters. And on top of those, I put images of the old, draw this image to apply for art school thing, which only people over like 45 know.
You would mail in. I know exactly.
Yeah, like you find those in magazines, matchbook covers, things like that. So one of them was like a pirate, one was a turtle, and people loved that. I think it was an audience award thing. Like they let me in just because people liked those pieces.
So did they not understand what you were doing at the time?
I don't know. Maybe they didn't understand me, or maybe I hadn't found myself. I don't know.
Oh, that's deep. That's deep.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe you needed that time.
It could be.
Yeah.
I mean, I found my way, and it didn't hurt me any. So.
Okay, and then
But
you.
Brandon,
Yes.
Brandon, you do know that my entire time there, it was all like I was the secondary Oberndorfer. I don't even know if Cory knows that. I don't know if I've explained that to him fully because
No.
because a good handful of the professors were the same. I mean, Cory had the same teachers I had, and so he was incredibly well known. And so he may have been rejected those 3 times, but he came back strong. And so he started. Didn't you start the art guild? I think he started the art guild.
I revived the art guild, yeah.
But I mean, you named the work, and it was all sort of secondary to Cory Oberndorfer. You know, did that already type of thing. And so,
wait, so Todd, you had to find your own Oberndorfer voice at Weber?
Yes, I had to find my own Oberndorfer voice. I had to work there. I had to work there for 6 years just to become known. That's what it took.
Okay.
The older brother.
The older brother. Yes, it's true. Yes, oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Hey, Todd, you're the only Oberndorfer I knew at Weber State.
See, thank you. It feels good to hear that. There was at least 2 or 3 of you, I think.
I think I've heard.
Yeah, even Eddie's heard of Cory. That's so funny.
So Cory, when you graduated Weber, where was it? You know, in an art degree, the one that makes all the money in the world. How did you go about earning a living, and how did you end up in DC?
Well, I'm still figuring out the earning a living thing.
Okay, well, but you're
so
surviving.
after I graduated Weber, I hung around for a year, did some teaching at Weber. Applying for art schools and stuff. I applied for art schools all over the country, but one of them I got into was here in DC, and I figured it's a great area. It's a ton of free museums, not that far from New York.
Inexpensive place to live and go to school.
And one of the most expensive cities. Yeah. So, I came out here, and I actually went through the same thing of struggling at first, nobody liking my work, and then all of a sudden, towards the end, it popped, and people in the city really started to enjoy what I was doing at the time, and enough so that I was, getting some teaching gigs and exhibitions, and so I stuck around for that. And what I thought was going to be a 2-year stay in the area has been 15 years now, something like that.
So, do you make a living teaching, or with art sales, or both, or
a combination of both?
Okay.
So I teach at pretty much taught at all of the area colleges and universities. So I'll do that part-time, and then the rest is art sales, which have done well enough to get me by. And of course, relying on, grants and things like that to help me out too.
Okay. I told Eddie that you had, well, I should say this. Eddie with BMX 50/50 is it top secret, your project at the roller rink, or can we talk about that?
We can talk about it.
We can talk about it. Okay. So he's got a project at the local roller rink that it's a new roller rink. It's not open yet. And Eddie is designing some ramps for the skate park that will be inside the roller rink. And I'm like, well, interesting. We have a guy who does a little bit of roller art or something. How did you get into that, Cory? Yeah,
I mean, I'm sitting in front of a piece right now.
Oh, that's you know what? I thought that was an aorta.
Hang on,
Heart.
that's the
Eddie can't see it, unfortunately, but yes, there is he doesn't have a computer in front of him. So right behind
roller girl
is a roller girl
behind me. Yeah,
in pink, and the background is green, but it is. Explain that, Cory.
This painting in particular, or
your life with roller girls.
Yeah. How hot are they?
So, well, the whole roller girl thing started. So that would have been like 2005 when roller derby was coming back after a long absence from the 70s. And I thought that'd be great subject matter for art. And so the whole time I was in grad school, I was making artwork about roller girls and roller derby. And usually I would just There was a lot of colorful influence too, fun, bright pop colors. And so that's the first thing that I kind of really made my mark with, was all of these roller girls. And so I got heavily into that culture for a while.
I mean, if you're looking to like niche up or niche down, I guess, roller girl art is a thing.
I printed some panties for
You printed
girl.
panties?
My 50/50 logo on a pair of panties for some roller derby girls.
They would shop it.
Yeah,
they would shop it,
and
okay.
they were, and they were like, we're going to Marshall White. We have a competition at the Marshall White Center. I don't know if Cory was involved in any of those, but maybe you saw my logo on some roller derby girls. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe you've painted some of my logos on roller derby girls, but I don't know.
It is a small
high
world,
visibility people. Area. Is that what you're going for?
Okay, so do you still?
That's good real estate, Eddie.
That's
good real estate.
Yeah, it is. That is
damn big logo on some of those things.
Oh well. Oh my gosh. But I don't think let's not really drop immediately Cory's like immersion into this culture. It was I don't think I knew until after the fact some of the girls that he's painted through the years and sort of got to know, like coast to coast, north to south, kind of across the board. I do follow a little bit of those roller girls, and just because of what was it? We did something out in California together. We should say that story. Was that a residency, Cory?
Yeah. Well, it was an installation for an exhibition in Santa something, California.
Clara?
Which town was it?
Anna?
Santa Ana.
Oz?
Thank you. Yeah.
Santa Ana. Okay.
It was a gallery space associated with Fullerton University, so I got to do a mural there, and since I was there for a couple of weeks, I visited the local roller derby team and took some pictures of them so that some of their skaters would be in the work that I was making, and then a whole bunch of them came in and helped me do some painting while I was there, and it was really nice. And the only reason that I got that gig was because I did a big mural here in DC, started posting stuff online, and it was like low-key viral for the roller derby community. They're like, some artist is actually doing something with us, and so I started getting known all across the country just through that, and then that gave me opportunities like going out to California because some young curator saw my work and really enjoyed it, and yeah, so it gave me some opportunities I did not see coming.
Didn't you have a roller parade for that show too?
That one was in Charleston, South Carolina. Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
Same thing. They blocked off a large chunk of the streets in downtown Charleston to have a roller parade where, bring your roller skates, your skateboard, whatever. Had this big parade, and then it ended at the opening reception for my art gallery.
Cory's in the Roller Derby Hall of Fame as an artist.
And yet I cannot skate.
And he can't skate.
Cory, you don't roller skate yourself?
No, I specifically, while I was in Charleston, I had them give me lessons so that I could actually do the parade. And then I get like a block down the street and I'm like, oh my God, there's cobblestones coming up.
So it makes what they do so much more impressive because, when
it's not easy.
No.
Yeah.
No,
would you get in the ring with those? No,
those are amazing athletes. There's no way I'd get close to that.
Out of control. They're so good.
Yeah.
So are you still painting those, or is this is something in the past now? You moved on.
Something in the past. I moved on.
Okay.
At the time, I was doing a lot of roller girls and candy, kind of at the same time. And now I'm just candy. I'm just edibles.
Not that kind. Just
no.
Yeah.
Popsicles.
Well,
candy,
don't speak
whatever.
too soon. Maybe in the future, you'll go into the full edible category. Because I have no doubt he's done gummies before. You've done full giant
gummy bears, yeah.
Gummy bears.
Cool. I was telling Brandon how much I saw your art, and I'm like, that just triggers like childhood memories. You know, like
Thank you.
it's amazing. So
Yeah.
it brings joy.
It brings joy, Cory. You bring joy to people. Is that what lies underneath all the things? Is the bringing
primary
them
goal? Yeah. I really like exhibiting my work, and as an artist, usually you put your work out there, and I have no idea how people see it, interact with it, whatever. I'm not part of it anymore. But if you go to a gallery opening, it's really nice to see multiple people stand in front of the work, and then like they'll just start talking, like total strangers will start sharing like childhood memories of whatever flavor popsicle and stuff like that. And it's great to see that kind of interaction.
Okay, the internet here, we lost it. Cory, where were we?
Where'd you lose me?
I lost you. You were in deep thoughts.
That's about right. Yeah.
Do you remember, Lorie?
Eddie had said he brings joy with his work.
Yes,
and
you
he
bring.
started to
Yes,
that's where we lost you.
Thank you, Lorie.
We could talk about joy and nostalgia and how that plays into your work, Cory.
Yeah, how does that?
Yeah, I mean that's the primary goal. So a lot of times when if I'm at a gallery reception where I can see multiple people, viewing the work, it's really nice because there's been a lot of times where I've seen total strangers standing next to each other, looking at the work, and then like they'll just start talking to each other, sharing memories of their childhood with like a specific flavor of ice cream or popsicle. And so just automatically it kind of triggers something for people. And it's really nice that then different people can have shared experiences and start talking about that stuff.
Yeah.
Plus, if I remember right, Brandon, these are the kind of gallery openings that you'd love to go to. So instead of just the wine and charcuterie tables, she would lay out a spread of like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
I'm talking
and
about
like bomb pops and big giant candy rings, if I remember right.
Yep, I've done that. Yeah,
amazing.
So when you move to edibles, is that going to be like? Just curious. I might show up to that one.
I may have already done that, and I have no memory of it.
Yeah, there's some Jello versions. I mean, So yeah, Cory. I mean, do you have a favorite popsicle?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a good one. Yeah, I think when I was a kid, I liked the creamsicles.
Yeah, orange creamsicle.
Or the orange push-ups. That's just like the
creamsicle was one of your first popsicles, right? That you painted?
Yeah, the bomb pop was the very first one. Creamsicle was probably right behind. Yeah.
Have you done the rocket?
Yeah.
Remember the rocket?
Is that red, white, and blue?
Yeah, it was like blue, red, and
yeah, everybody's got a different name for it. I call it bomb pop or rocket pop or firecracker or
okay.
Cory's depth of knowledge on popsicles. Where have you found all this information? Are these deep dives at microfiche level, or can you still find this online?
So you can find a lot of this stuff online, a lot of the retro stuff. I tried to get like the stickers that you put on the side of an ice cream truck. I wanted to get some of those.
Sure.
And so I was calling up like distributors and stuff, and I finally found a place near me where I could go and get these, but they didn't just sell them or they didn't give them out. They were only available for distributors, so people that operated ice cream trucks. So I had to register as an ice cream distributor in order to get these stickers.
Yeah.
So somewhere in the state of Maryland, I'm registered as an ice cream man.
Do you play ice cream truck music at your showings, like at your art show?
At the art show?
I haven't yet. I should.
That would be amazing.
What you can't play probably because it's a little rated R. But I don't know how old you are, Cory. But my favorite actor comedian is Eddie Murphy.
Oh,
and yeah. Was that Delirious or Raw?
Yeah, it was one of the two.
Yeah, one of the two.
Ice cream.
Do you remember that, Cory?
That one is great. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you just have him yelling ice cream at your show?
Just on a loop.
On a loop.
But I would like to hear that ice cream music coming out of the casket or like he gets played off with the ice cream truck. It's just kind of that's instead of a hearse, Cory. Instead of a hearse, it's an ice cream truck. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Was there a plethora of ice cream pops and all those sort of ice cream treats at the Oberndorfer household when you two were children?
Good question.
Not really. I mean, we'd have ice cream, but not as much the pops.
Are you
I just
trying?
remember the ice cream truck. The ice cream truck was.
Yeah.
I mean, those are always in the neighborhood. Like we always lived in neighborhoods where we have the ice cream trucks pretty regularly.
I just had a vision of little Todd running down the street. Ice cream.
Little Todd.
You keep
Smaller
that
version
memory.
of Todd, but still with the beard.
You keep that right there. Yeah. I want that to be true, even if it wasn't true. Yeah.
I didn't know, Cory, if things went on a deeper level, like you're trying to find your childhood and you're going, did you grow up too quick? Is there some serious stuff we need to talk about here with the popsicles, or you're just trying to bring some fun?
No, well, it's not finding the childhood. It's if you've never left it behind.
Celebrating the
Mhm.
childhood.
Yeah, there was an article written once that described me as having a Peter Pan complex. And I would say that's accurate.
I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
you didn't really ever. But as a professional artist, in that sense, you did have to make some grown-up decisions. Didn't you just recently show? Did you show down in Florida?
I had a few pieces that went down to the Art Basel Miami exhibitions, to one of those art fairs. Yeah.
And that's a place that you show somewhat regularly. Where
I've
is
shown there
where's
a couple
nostalgia
times.
popular?
Everywhere.
I like to hear that. That's nice.
I feel like a lot of people's taste, maybe with like the amount of color, or if they consider it pop art or whatever, that kind of varies from city to city. But this nostalgia in general, everybody's got that. Yeah.
Brandon, one last little story. You want to hear this little tie-in? That Cory was actually tied into our little inner community of arts leaders well before I was, because you will never guess who has sold multiple
I know this
artwork from Cory. Did you know this story? I don't know if Lorie knows this story.
No, I know this, and I think Lorie knows this too, but I don't remember when it came up, but it was it was, Todd, that's Cory's brother. That's how I knew. I'm all, whoa, what?
So even outside of school, it continued.
Yeah.
Because Lorie, Scott Patria.
Do you know this,
is the
Lorie?
one that found Cory.
No,
this was
I
after
did
you
not
moved to DC.
Oh.
Yeah, Scott loves Cory.
Knew him when he was in Chicago? Or wasn't Scott from Chicago?
How far back do you go with Scott? How'd that relationship
Yeah, I think
start?
Scott was in Chicago. I think maybe he did an art fair here in DC. And maybe that's where he found my work. And so it was before he even moved to Utah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm chatting with Scott, and I'm like, yeah, my podcast partner in crime is Todd, and blah blah blah, and he's like, oh, Cory's brother.
Wow.
What is this?
What is
Yeah.
In the shadow of my little
Oh
brother.
What's the age difference between you two?
Yeah.
3 years younger. Cory's 3 years younger.
Cory's 3 years younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you dare say anything else.
Oh my
Just leave it at that.
Oh boy.
I think that's a perfect segue into your old dried out guest that's over there in the trailer. Let's start talking about that.
I'm gonna get there, but I just want to ask Lorie, because Lorie steeped deep in the arts in Ogden. If you have any questions for Cory, whether it has to do with on the business side, like making a living, or growing up here in, I mean, he's from Ogden and then he left to live and make a living, earn a living outside of Ogden, but you're a big part of Ogden Arts here in town. So
Yes, and working really hard to make a culture or a community where artists can work and survive with their artwork.
Yeah. Not easy.
Is not easy. And my question to Cory now is, at the point where he is at his career, do you feel like you could live somewhere else? Do you feel like you could come back to Utah and live here and still be successful? Or do you think you need to still stay back east?
I think you can I could move anywhere, I think. Once you live in a city and establish enough connections there, you can leave and still maintain some of those connections. So, I feel like I could move around to different cities if I chose to, and still kind of do that. I know that Ogden has changed a lot since I left, because there were not many opportunities, let's say, back then. And from what I know of everything that's grown since then, it's completely different. So kudos to you guys for helping to build that.
Lorie, in all my stories to Cory, I'm responsible for all those good things. I may not have mentioned you all the time. I think it was mostly decisions that I've been making.
You are responsible for everything good in Ogden, Todd.
Todd's an Ogden heavy hitter.
Yeah.
For sure.
I just love that the whole reason he was chair was because he missed a meeting.
Yeah.
That was my favorite story.
Well, and as chair, look at all the things he's changed.
It's awesome. Yeah.
I had a good term. Yes, I did. Yeah,
Not a good term.
And, just all you listeners out there, Brandon was also chair of the committee. So 2 heavy hitters. Two
on the same podcast.
Yes.
Can the trailer handle it? Cory, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate you joining us here. I know Todd probably roped you into it a little bit, but I love the fact that you went to school here. I love the fact that you had a hard time at Weber State. They didn't understand you. You were too far ahead of the curve for them.
That's right.
And so
true genius is never understood in its time.
100%. Yeah, it takes time for them to figure it out. They didn't know Roller Girl. What? Yeah. What? Do you remember your submission? What your submission they declined was?
Various student projects, probably.
Okay.
Like some uninspired stuff, I imagine.
Yeah.
Before he found himself.
Before he found himself. Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. And the roller rink thing is amazing because we did not plan this at all. But our guest in studio here, Eddie Buckley, 50/50 BMX, is designing the skate park for the new roller skate rink in Ogden. Neptune skating, I think that's what it's called. Go ahead and talk right into that, Mike. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Okay, well, so you own the owner of 50/50 BMX. It's Kaysville? Layton. It is officially Layton. So did you build how'd you get to owning the bike shop and the 50/50 BMX to building skate park stuff?
Okay, well, so first off, this is news. This is the first time we've announced it publicly, but we've sold the bike shop.
Didn't know.
The retail side.
The retail side of it.
Whoa.
I still own the brand.
Okay.
I still own 50/50 BMX.
Okay.
The entertainment company, we still own that.
Like 100% or 50/50?
100% of that.
This feels like a bit where
Todd. As snarky as Todd, I don't know.
Yeah, probably. I mean, geez. Yeah.
So yeah, we just sold actually the retail.
Okay.
The retail store.
Is this? Do I say congrats?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's it's cool. It's like a next little step. Yeah.
Okay.
For us in our lives and our, in our
where we want to go.
Where we want to go.
Where you want
our
to go. Because you can't do that forever.
No. And I'm 50 now. I just turned 50, so I'm
What?
like, yeah. So it's like, I still want to ride BMX bikes, but it's hard when you take a slam at 50. It's not like when you're
hurts more. I tried
when
to
you're
skateboard.
18. It's like you get up and you're good, but now
you take
sucks.
a slam and you don't get up.
Yeah, you don't get up for a while. So, but yeah, so that I still own the BMX brand, our apparel brand, in our BMX show team.
But you don't have to work the retail shop every day.
No, I don't do that.
Oh.
I haven't really done that. I haven't done that in years. So
okay.
It was Tuesdays.
He was
I
was pretty
absentee manager.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's good. It's in good hands now. Purchased by a local Utah, so I think that's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now what do you wake up? What do you do on Wednesday mornings, Tuesday mornings?
Building a skate park. I do some I've always been into construction and building things. I love to create. And so I'm just doing some custom remodeling in homes and then building skate parks. I've gotten to travel. My son and I went to Texas and built some ramps for some Olympians for a Bobcat.
Wait, Olympian what?
Olympic BMX athletes.
Okay.
So the female BMX athletes. So they did a demonstration for Bobcat Tractors, actually hired them to do a demonstration at their big corporate outing. And I got to build those ramps for those guys. Have you been building ramps since junior high or? So I've been building ramps. So I'm going to tell you a story, and this is going to incriminate me. But when I was 12, I stole a bunch of lumber from the local job sites, and I built a ramp at the end of our street that I grew up on. And
did you get busted?
Yes, and what was crazy is the contractor that it was a framing I think it was a framing contractor was really cool about it. It's like, hey kids, I know you guys stole this lumber off of our job site. Please don't take any more.
Yeah.
So we were cool with it. We didn't, we didn't take any more lumber from them, but that started the whole thing. And there's a famous movie in the 80s, Rad. I don't know if you've heard of the movie.
I love Rad.
So Rad, Glenn Adams was a local Utah that was in that movie, and he was a stuntman and a double for Bart Taylor, one of the main characters in that movie. He lived across the street from me, and I was into freestyle BMX at the time. And he was a BMX racer, and back then there was this weird kind of clash between freestyle BMX and racing BMX. And he was like, oh, you don't want to do that freestyle stuff. You want to come race. So he loaded me up one day because I was kind of a troubled youth, took me to 4th Street BMX racetrack, Thunder Hill BMX. And
I remember that place.
Thunder Hill. And I met Tim Fuzzy Hall that first day. The Fuzzy Hall. I met Fuzz. The very first day. So I show up with Glenn Adams, who's already a Utah icon.
Mm-hmm.
And so all those dudes are like, oh my gosh, this kid must be, something special. He's showing up with Glenn. And Glenn says, hey, I need you guys to take my neighbor, Eddie, under your wing. And so him and another friend of mine, Steve Spencer, that I've been friends with these guys for, 30 years now. They took me under their wing, and I was like the little Grom that hung out with these guys, and that was the basically the takeoff of BMX dirt jumping. So we started doing all kinds of tricks and stuff off of dirt jumps, and Fuzz became world recognized.
Yeah. And what happened to 4th Street?
Shit, I don't know. Ogden, it just kind of lost support from the community, I think, and it and BMX kind of goes through waves.
But you're 50, I'm a little younger, but I was maybe 12 or something, and it was a thing. It was huge.
It was huge.
Yeah.
Nationals there was a big national race there in Ogden every year, the Ogden City Nationals. It was massive. Huge pros coming into town. Like back then, BMX pros coming into town and racing. It was a big deal.
And you traveled all over the country.
I did. When I was young.
So did you race then though?
I did. So I grew up racing BMX, and that's kind of how I got into it. But my heart was always into doing tricks and the jumping and the whole that side of it. So I was like,
I think this is every kid's, if I can summarize a BMX experience. I lived in the Terrace here in Ogden, and then my family moved to Texas. And in Texas, it was at the end of our street, we had an unfinished portion of the neighborhood, right? Dirt.
Yeah. Dirt
jumps. Yeah. And in Texas, I didn't know this living in Utah, they have really big sunflowers, giant sunflower, and they grow so big you can't see around the turns. But someone had made trails and jumps and all that, and I just remember you do the whole thing where you try and it was, what do you call that, where people just make the trails and they make the jumps, and they just make trails. You just do the jumping, BMX and you're like, I don't know, 8 or whatever, and that's what you do, and that's the heart of when you learn to ride a bike, I guess.
Well, most people start at 8 and quit at 12, but I'm I started at 12 and
50.
And at 50 years old, I'm still doing this shit. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm like, can't grow up, you know. So some people draw popsicles. I ride BMX bikes. You know, I don't really know what the deal is. It's
Stay young, my man.
Stay young, buddy. Yeah. I think you two are on to something. I don't know, because you're both very youthful at heart. I mean, look at you. Nice teeth, you know.
She makes me brush. Like before I met Lorie, like I was a shit show. And I still kind of am a shit show. She kind of keeps me kind of.
Maybe Cory has the same story
Same thing.
before you met your wife, right, Cory?
Yeah, she keeps me in check. Yeah,
She kind of keeps you like on the level, right? Like,
yeah, yeah.
you're not doing anything too dumb.
But while Lorie is in the studio, I do have to hear more about that origin story. So what you guys did you date? I mean, a long time before you got married. I mean, how long have you two known each other?
We met in high school. So
Oh,
I'm actually a year older than Eddie, so I was
Mm.
Eddie.
All right.
Cougar.
16 and 17.
Cougar.
Cougar. I was a cougar in high
It's
school.
1 year.
Cougar.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh,
And-
that's great.
I missed my school bus, and he
On purpose.
well, not on purpose.
Why
I
did you
lived-
miss? Why did you miss the school bus?
I
that
don't
day?
know
Oh.
what happened. I think I had to talk to my teacher or some. I can't even remember why I missed the school bus, but at the time I lived in a town called South Weber, and I went to Clearfield High School, so it was quite the jaunt
Yeah.
to get home. And usually kids are like, and you know, back then where you're scraping and buying, and gas was what, 80 cents a gallon or something, 90 cents
$1.16.
or whatever in high school. Oh yeah, okay, whatever. But you know, you're buying gas with change because you're a high school kid,
Mhm.
and no one ever wanted to drive to South Weber. And
Yeah,
he-
it's so far away.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is far for a high school kid.
Right.
So he was walking by, had keys in his hand, and I was like, oh gosh, I'm gonna ask this. I'm gonna ask this.
Did
kid.
you know? Had
I
you met
never
him?
met him. No,
Oh.
I didn't know him. So I asked a complete stranger, stranger danger.
Did you know me?
I didn't know you.
You didn't even know.
I didn't know who you were.
He's like, you hadn't heard of me yet?
Yeah, he but according to him, he knew who I was.
I did.
Yeah.
I had a class with her sister.
Yeah, but she's older.
She is older. and
Yeah.
she-
You normally know the older. You
well,
don't know
the
the younger.
commons area. She used to walk through the commons area in her
Mm.
little Guess jeans, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, need to know this girl."
The guest jeans.
It was a Guess
Yeah.
jeans, the super tight Guess jeans.
Yeah,
Dude,
it
You
was
still got
the
those
80s.
guest jeans, Lorie?
Oh my goodness. Well, no, unfortunately.
Oh,
Now there's a 50-50 logo on them.
Yeah, what happened to the gerbos? She was guest, not a
This-
gerbo.
this
Eddie
was-
wore the gerbo.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wore the guest.
Yeah,
Okay.
she was a Guess jean. You know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do still have my little cropped leather jacket from
Yeah.
from high school.
Oh, snap.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, he gave me a ride home and then pretended like he lost his keys so he could come back, and he jumped on my trampoline. We did some
Oh,
tricks.
jeez. Okay. Trampoline. Yeah.
Yep, tricks because he
Yep.
had to
Yeah,
do
went straight to
tricks.
the tramp.
Yep. Yep.
That's always a deal sealer. You know, just anyone out there listening, you're trying to seal the deal. They got a trampoline.
That's the
like,
move.
Jump
you
on,
get
Yeah.
on the trampoline. Yeah, it's gonna.
do some tricks because Eddie likes to do tricks.
Wait, Eddie. Wait.
I was
okay.
doing stunts, of course. I was trying to show up doing stunts. Even then, gosh,
Did you have your bike with you?
no, I'm like, to do backflips and stuff. I'm trying to impress this girl.
Eddie, I want to know what were you driving at 16?
a Volkswagen GTI,
Oh, that's a nice car.
dude. It was pretty sweet, and
Yeah.
actually, it was a giant piece of turd. The door.
But it made it to South Weber.
It did make it
Yeah.
to South Weaver. It was kind of a top pile of. Did I have the GTI? Was
You
that-
did have
yeah.
the GTI.
Yeah, I thought I was pretty cool in that car.
That's funny.
I was a BMX skateboarder, snowboarder
Yeah.
with the GTI.
Well, that's a good question. So I love skateboarding, and I skateboarded as you do from like sixth grade till you get a license.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get a license, it all
Kind of.
for me it went away, and for a lot of my friends it went away. And then you had like the one kid who stuck with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the same thing like with BMX? And then why did you stick with the bike?
Well, you know, I was a big skateboarder myself. I always liked. I was never a team sports kid. I've kind of been, it's funny, I've always kind of been a loner in a way, but I'm pretty social, but I've always been sort of a loner. And I like those individual sports where it's like it's just you and whatever device you're using. And so, yeah, BMX, I honestly kind of shifted away from BMX for a lot of years, and I skateboarded and snowboarded. I snowboarded really heavily competitively. I competed in a bunch of all over the place in snowboarding, and BMX was always kind of a passion of mine. But
wait, when you competed in snowboarding, like that long ago, I know the slalom racing was a thing, or did you like half pipe, or what did you do?
So I did half pipe and slalom.
Okay.
I actually was sponsored by Alpine Sports, Bobby
Bobby.
Yeah, you know Bobby.
Yeah,
So thank you, Bobby, if you're listening. If you hear this, Bobby, thank you for everything you ever did for me.
That's so
as
cool.
a kid. So I rode for Bobby. They got me on. I got sponsored by a company called Kemper Snowboards.
I owned a Kemper.
Okay, so
I had to buy mine.
Okay.
You probably didn't.
Yeah, so Kemper was one of my first real sponsors.
That's amazing.
Well, I was sponsored and stuff for BMX, but but Kemper for snowboarding was like my big breakthrough. And then I blew up my knees jumping off a cliff at Powder Mountain when I was a young kid, and Lorie got pregnant with our boy Austin, and I'm
just glad you included the I blew up my knee part first.
Yeah. Knee got shattered. Then we got a child, and my dreams of being a pro snowboarder kind of faded quickly.
Yeah, when you can't walk, or when you stand up and your knee just gives out and you fall onto the ground. Then
when did you? That's interesting, because would you rather be a pro snowboarder or a pro BMXer?
I've always just loved, for whatever reason, action sports have resonated with me. Yeah. Whether it's skateboarding or BMX or whatever that is in that.
That's the ultimate dual sport athlete for alternative sports.
The whole culture of action sports has always just kind of struck a bell with me. And I feel like it's kind of been my destiny in life, because I've always ran across these iconic figures in all these sports.
Who is your snowboarder guy you looked up to?
Oh man, Craig Kelly. Craig Kelly was definitely, but I got to recently know Jeremy Jones, Utah Jeremy Jones.
There's two.
So there's Big Mountain Jeremy Jones, and then there's our Utah local Jeremy Jones. And I got to do a lot of work with Jeremy a few years back, and he's rad. He's such a good dude. I ran the bicycling program for Skull Candy Headphones, and I got to meet Aaron Bittner and some of the local Utah legendary BMX or snowboarding pros. Sorry. Roosters.
But, thanks, Roosters. We're 2 beers in. Yeah, three beers.
Yeah. And I'm half Japanese, so I sometimes I can't handle my alcohol.
What does that have to do with you?
I had to.
He's a lightweight.
Yeah, I'm a lightweight. But Lorie's he's a cheap date. Lorie's he's a cheap date. But I don't even know where we're going with that. But that's
yeah. He asked you if you wanted to be a pro snowboarder or pro BMXer or skateboarder.
I thought I never felt good enough at skateboarding to be a pro skateboarder, but I always loved skateboarding. And I skateboarded a lot because I thought it would make my snowboarding better. And BMX was always just something that I kind of just did, so.
Okay. So do you have those dreams? Do you have the dreams of doing the tricks and doing the thing? Do they?
I do. Yeah. And it's funny. I still to this day have those dreams of jumping trails, or I'm going to hit some big snowboard jump, or it's weird. It's just kind of my brain just goes in that direction.
Was the Kemper your favorite board?
Man, no. So
Lorie's all no.
What's crazy is I got sponsored by Rosignol snowboards back in the day, and there was a
Burton.
And Burton was a kind of a offshoot thingy, but Utah companies have props to Utah companies and people in Utah business. They really do kind of support. Back then, they definitely supported locals, but Rosignol was in Clearfield. They had a distribution center, and they were hooking me up with stuff back in the day. And they gave me these Lexi Lidvare boards. I loved those Those for me.
Repeat that.
It was Alexei Litovare.
Okay.
He's a pro snowboarder.
Okay.
From some country somewhere. You can probably figure it out.
Okay.
Switzerland, I think.
Yeah,
Switzerland.
Mhm.
But those boards were some of my favorites from when I was competing and being like way into that scene.
So when you watch over the years, like the X Games and what was the Do Games or
Do
Do
Tour.
Tour or whatever, you get jealous ever, or do you just like look at that and be like, can you think, oh man, that could have been me?
No, not really. It's never been. It's funny. I've always been like kind of on the athlete side, but also on the business side. Something in me has always been a business guy. My very first business was a snowboard clothing company. So I sold to a few local shops. I sold to Skate Street, which was a local.
I remember Skate Street.
So Rex,
100%. Yeah.
Props to Rex. Shout out to Rex. He shaped my life a lot. That guy gave me a lot of business advice. Same with the Binghams, Joel Bingham and John Bingham. They were some of my first BMX bike sponsors.
He actually learned how to sew from his mother, and sewed, started making mittens, and then he made snowboarding jackets and snowboarding shorts.
What was the brand
pants.
name?
Purple Haze.
Oh, that's a good brand name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to like to smoke a lot of pot back in the day. You know? So
back in the day.
Back in the day.
Back in the day.
I'm just going to throw that out. That was back in the day. I don't want to incriminate any, but I was that was part of the whole deal back in the day.
Yeah.
But so that was.
So then when did you decide to say like, okay, let's open a bike shop? Because that would be fun.
So Lorie and I had Austin, our son, and one of my best friends was a framing contractor. Went to framing houses full time, and that's how I learned all these carpentry skills to build all these ramps everywhere. My best.
You were the BMX Jesus.
Yes, carpenter.
Kind of.
BMX.
Yeah, I guess so. And around here, maybe there's
okay. Yeah.
I got to throw it like there's the Nate Wessels and those guys, but I was always really like best friends with Fuzzy Holland. Lorie and I we were general contractors. We had a contracting business. Years later, it was weird. Fuzzy and I kind of separated as friends, and we came back together. And he called me out of the blue and said, "Hey, will you build my house?" And this is when he was like X Games Gold, and he was doing all this crazy stuff in action sport in BMX. And so I built his house randomly, and I literally had not touched a BMX bike in 12 years. Fuzzy was like one of Mongoose Bicycle's top pros, and me and my friend Brent and Brandt were framing his house, and Fuzz shows up with his truck, and he's like, "I got a present for you guys." I'm like, okay, cool. And he pulls out brand new BMX bikes for us, all three of us that were framing his house.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh damn, dude.
Yeah.
So needless to say, we didn't do jack crap on his house for like 2 weeks. We built a dirt jump in his backyard, and we just rode BMX every day. And he's like, I should have gave you these after I was done after you were done building. And so,
well, real quick on Mongoose, because Walmart brand, people think of that, but my first mountain bike from Bingham was a Mongoose, and it was like top of the line, and it was 91, I want to say 92, like it was a long time ago, but
Mongoose wasn't a Walmart brand or a big box store brand. It was a bike shop brand before.
Yeah, back in the day, definitely a IBD, independent bike shop brand. And in Europe, in Australia and stuff, it still is like I wouldn't say core, but like an independent bike shop brand. But in America, because of Walmart and big box store, I think they saw an opportunity to go to the masses for cheap, and so which is kind of sad. It cheapened the Mongoose name in America, but it's still an iconic brand. Like Glenn Adams, actually, the very first bike that I ever raced was a Mongoose BMX bike. So what's your favorite or the best bikes now, or your favorite bikes now? My favorite, there's a guy named Mike Laird. He lives in North Carolina, and he's an old pro, good buddies with Dave Mira, rest in peace, Dave Mira. He builds and welds bikes in his own shop. that's the bike I'm personally riding right now, is a custom welded bike by him. But there's lots of Robbie Morales that owns Colt BMX, and Chris Muller owns Fit and S&M. Those are all really good
Sundays.
Yeah, Sundays. Yeah, definitely Sunday. BMX with Odyssey. And there's lots of all the bike brands are pretty damn good now. Verde and.
But there also GT has a BMX line that sponsors several Utah riders.
Yep.
Yeah, GT.
Yeah, GT. Tristan Cooper, he's a local pro for GT bicycles. He's an awesome kid.
Haro has a BMX line.
Yeah, Haro.
So there's
they're all still around, but I'm riding a Laird frame. It's just I like to support I've always been for the little guy kind of coming up. So
I liked unique brands.
Yeah, me too.
And I went to Bingham.
Yeah.
And they were all like the Trek and the Rock Hopper stuff. And I was like, what's that mongoose over there?
Yeah.
And then that was my first mountain bike, which was interesting. Yeah. Todd, what was your first BMX? Do you remember?
Well, I remember having a mongoose. That's funny you said that, but I went, I think, straight from like the smaller BMX tires to these oversized. There was kind of like the first of like the larger mountain bike tires, but it was right before they weren't really easy to find, but I liked those big tires. So I essentially used it for most of the same purposes, jumping curbs. And, I remember the coolest thing on that bicycle was just pegs. Do you remember pegs were so popular on like every bicycle?
Yeah, you had to have
pegs on the back, but not for any sort of reason other than just play, which I guess that's what all that's for. It's just
they sell them at Walmart now with pegs.
We call them homie haulers. Buddies ride down to the local.
So much better than on the handlebars.
Yeah. Riding the handlebars is scary. Homie hauler is much safer.
I'm sure Cory was my homie on those pegs.
I remember falling off those a lot. Yeah.
It was a blue mongoose. I remember that. But I remember the tires being oversized because they were bigger than all my friends' tires. Like they didn't know what to do with them exactly. But I remember wanting specifically those little bit bigger tires. So
that's it. That's
kind of funny you ask.
That's in right now too.
It was like
a little bigger. I have a couple of quick questions. One, I have to ask Lorie. Lorie, did you ever get into BMX, or did you ever kind of play around at any point?
I have done many of these sports with Eddie. I've skated vert ramps and lost all my skin on Masonite and was never very good at skating. I have rode BMX bikes, learned how to bunny hop slightly, like maybe over a quarter or something.
You could do a 2x4.
Yeah, I could.
I remember at our school we had it was like a beam, like kind of low to the ground but off the ground, and it was in an S shape, and the cool kid came along on his BMX and bunny hopped that whole beam, and I was like, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen. It was so cool.
Bunny hopping is so hard. Like I can get your back end up is just, and you practice, then you're sore and all the weirdest muscles you never realized you even had. So Eddie is on a level of, I feel like, slightly insane of risk taking. He's actually raced downhill mountain bikes where he's, and you've seen downhill race courses with the boulder fields, and they're just pedaling as fast as they can go down the hill. I'm like, this is too scary. But I do snowboard with him.
She's an awesome snowboarder.
And so, my level of risk is down here with probably more normal people when he's,
Eddie, are you riding a mountain bike into the sunset when you die? Like or a BMX bike when you how do you see yourself?
How do I see myself going out?
Yeah.
Spear fishing for lobster.
Damn.
Oh,
I'm gonna drown. I'm gonna drown in
Yeah.
You have thought about this.
Shark.
Yeah. Like I've thought about that. I told my son today, I'm like, man, if I start like losing my mind, like with dementia or whatever, I'm like, just take me on the ocean and just throw me off the boat.
Drop you off.
Yeah. Just say the sharks got me.
Yeah.
I don't put up with my crap.
That's funny. That's your answer, since you spent so much time on a bike.
I love bicycles and I love all that stuff, but I don't know, like as you get older, life kind of shifts a little bit.
Yeah.
And things the ocean is just a beautiful place, and it feels so good to just, Lorie and I are going to Belize for a month in January.
A month?
A month.
Yes.
Dang.
Yeah, tell me. I'm like stoked. Yeah.
Yep.
How's Ogden gonna run?
That's a good question. I did have an assistant. She gave me her notice yesterday. So
Oh.
I'm using her to go work at Weber State. She's going to go take annual college.
Any art
job.
peeps need a job.
But
Like
yeah, I need an assistant.
She needs an
help,
assistant.
Help.
Oh, nothing like last minute
Yeah.
I
there.
know.
All right.
Okay, so one other question. So
yeah.
we've made it up to the point where you invested, you kind of were thinking about getting this bicycle shop, right? And so, but I have to ask Lorie another question because you're here with Eddie. So what have we missed? Like, what story has Eddie not told us that we all really need to know? Something that's good and embarrassing or dangerous and stupid or illegal.
Oh
I'm sure you have all.
Yeah, only one story. Yeah.
Story. Oh my goodness.
Like the dumbest thing he's done, maybe.
Oh God, dude.
There are so many.
That's all. I've done a lot of them. I'm telling you, that list is long.
So this is a good story. I mean, because it involves his good friend Fuzzy, and when they didn't ever stop being friends, but they just kind of, Eddie was doing construction and Fuzz was traveling the world being a BMX racer. When he started building his house again, they started hanging out heavily, and they would run around and play and, go out and drive around and like drive as fast as they could in their vehicles and pull the e-brake all over the place and
Totally normal. Yeah.
destroy all sets of tires on their truck. Like,
Which, funny enough, I learned that Eddie's getting new tires like Saturday too. Again, so yeah.
Probably
E-braking.
because of
E-braking.
But they would race around like West Kaysville out there on those roads and just be like, like.
But this is before any Fast and Furious movie.
Oh yeah, if you go like 100 miles an hour and you let everything off and you jam the the emergency brake, you can do the most amazing longest skids and the fishtailing and trying to control the vehicle.
What kind of vehicle? What kind of car?
That was a Dodge truck.
Dodge Ram, probably.
I did an e-brake so long one time that I had these flat spots in my tires. So when you drove down the road, the truck was like
So here's me. I'm the logical one of the going, Eddie. Now we have to buy 4 new tires. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is
but it was fun.
It was in the moment.
Yeah, it was in the moment.
Brandon, right now is where we put the message across the bottom of the screen where just don't try this at home.
Oh my God, I can do one of these. Yeah.
This was by a trained idiot like years ago.
100%.
A very expensive experience. Because we all know how much tires cost.
You gotta wear out the tires all the way around, so you have to do it like 20 more times.
Yeah, that's right. Then you
and
have
try lining up to get it round again. It's not easy.
Yeah,
I tried.
a pro move.
So good.
Thanks for sharing the dirt. Oh, I appreciate that.
I thought I could make it like move across the screen, but it looks like it just shows up there like that. But that'll work.
I love that you actually have a message.
And Todd, I have
try this at home.
Right. Yeah.
So much more dirt, but we'll have to share those on another.
Oh, no, that's going to have to be over drinks. Yes, we'll take care of that.
Gee, thanks.
I'm just happy you're still alive and well and you're intact. I think that you're probably equally injured between the two of you, it seems like.
Oh, man. We both.
In different ways, probably.
Yes. Both of us have had
Yep. He's got 3 knee surgeries, 1 elbow surgery, a broken neck. I have a broken neck.
There we go.
Broken tailbone, back surgery, ankle surgery. We're kind of, look at us.
Yeah, we've jacked ourselves up, babe.
Yeah.
I want you to have like an emergency room punch card, like one of those little punch cards.
Oh my gosh.
You get points, right? Yeah.
After like 6 or 8, you get like.
I've had a doctor yell at me before.
Yeah.
Like,
when he broke his neck.
Yeah.
Yep.
He
wouldn't
freaked out
stay
on
at the
me.
hospital.
Yeah, the doctor freaked
Lorie,
out.
at what point were you like, you know what? This guy's got a future. I'm going to marry him because obviously he makes good choices.
I'm still waiting for that.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. No, he is the love of my life. We met like the day he drove me home. It's been
Peanut butter and jelly.
Yep. I
Peanut butter and
can't
jelly.
even explain it. We, when you're young, you date and you break up and get back together. But we did that a few times, but we always couldn't stay away from each other.
Todd, you know what this is? This is a true arts and adventure love story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love you.
It is a true arts and adventure love story. I love it. I didn't even ask the like important professional question, and then this will be I'll be done. I promise. I'll let you guys go. But it's really interesting to see how your career paths have honestly sort of married each other in some sense, as far as being a working artist and then getting into arts administration, and where you've been a working athlete and then worked into action sports administration to some degree,
Mm-hmm.
and how helpful that has been for, all of the young artists and action sport athletes. Is that part of your decisions? Is that you've just genuinely wanted to help other athletes, or you've just gotten old and weak? Whatever it is, are you pretty happy?
Old and weak, definitely. I think we both love
God.
to help people.
Mm-hmm.
Like truly, like that's something I love to help
I
people.
just love that you're sitting so far apart in this camera photo. Hey, you can't even.
I love it.
There.
There it is.
Oh.
There it is.
This is why you have to watch on the YouTube, folks.
Yeah, I think we both love to help people. Like with some of my most gratifying jobs were when I worked for the Do Tour. I got to help a lot of up and coming athletes like aspire their dreams, help them get sponsors. Like I really enjoy that. I worked for Skull Candy and I got to hire athletes and help them achieve their dreams. That's all been super fun. That's the most rewarding.
Working with the Do Tour.
Yeah,
and all
that was the most
there.
that Red Bull events and things that I've done in my life. Like I've been really, really lucky to do all the things I've got.
Pay
to do.
it forward.
Yeah,
You pay it forward.
Yeah, you try to pay it forward.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I make it a little heart. You can't see it, but there's a little heart right here. Yeah.
Todd,
I love your story.
Do you have any arts news? Because we gotta get that.
Yeah, well, our Arts Nords we were going to talk about our visit to the Hirshhorn Gallery, which we kind of touched on a little bit at the beginning. So
Okay.
I did have a chance to, on my visit, see a little bit of art today. And I think tomorrow we're going to visit. What's the name of the other gallery we're going to tomorrow?
Rubel Museum.
Rubel Museum, which is a brand new space, and so I'm excited for that as well.
I'm so jealous.
I'm jealous
Wow.
too.
Yeah, well, somebody's going to Belize, so suck it.
For a month, for crying out loud. So yeah.
The art
sounds
galleries
like
are
so much
few
fun.
and far between there, though.
Okay, that's a good point.
Then you'll be bored after 2 days.
All right, I have some basic adventure news, I guess. This is potentially awesome. Utah could join, this is according to the park record, Utah could join a rotating pool of Winter Games hosts under a new proposal. So the Olympic Committee has waited to announce who's going to get the next Olympic Games, I guess. And it's because global warming. And so they're like, well, what if we have like 3 to 5 different cities that just host it, and you just rotate through those, and Utah is being considered as one of those. And so the International Olympic Committee considers solutions amid a climate change and delayed decisions for the 2030 Olympic Games. Utah is being considered for the host for the 2030 or 34 Winter Olympics, but then it would rotate. And so basically those cities would get the Olympics every, say, 20 years, because it's Olympics are every 4 years, and you go rotate through them all. But see, it's so smart because you have to build all the facilities and all these places that get them. They build the facilities, and there's famous.
And then they're bankrupt.
Yeah, there's super popular websites where you can see like the bobsleds that got taken over by grass and stuff, because nobody ever goes there anymore.
Yeah.
So if you just rotate through, then you can keep those facilities updated because they're coming back, and then you can train the athletes and stuff. And so that's one of the ideas being presented, which would be awesome and really awesome for Utah. Another thing is Santa skis at Snow Basin. So yes, the 15th, which today's the 13th, this drops on the 14th. So tomorrow through the 23rd, Santa skis Snow Basin. So you know where to go if you wanted to watch Santa ski.
I have seen Santa skiing at Snow Basin before.
Same here. Pro tip, he gives out candy canes, which is very cool. Yeah.
Chase him down.
Yeah. And then finally, he's not 100 years old, but he's been skiing for 100 years, which makes him 103 years old because he started skiing at 3 years old. Yes, German skiing pioneer Klaus Obermeyer celebrates his 100th year of skiing this year, which is insane. The prominent Aspen resident is set to lace up his boots and hit the slopes just several weeks after his 103rd birthday on December 2nd. A truly astonishing feat to accomplish. Klaus, this is a great paragraph. Klaus first experienced skiing in 1922 as a youth in the German village of Oberstaufen. His first pair of skis were constructed from chestnut wood planks taken from a crate his father used to buy oranges in nearby Italy, which he then bent the tips to his knees with strings to create tips and nailed his buckle house shoes to it.
Oh my God.
As a youth, he fondly remembers skiing directly onto the hill behind his house from his kitchen door, which developed a passion that carried him into winning the 4-way championships, slalom, downhill, cross country, and jumping in the 1930s. Klaus grew up skinning because we think it's cool now. No, he did it in 1930s, skinning up the mountain to get his turns as chairlifts were nowhere to be found in his village, which has been dubbed the snow hole of the Alps due to the massive amount of snowfall it receives. So congratulations, Klaus Obermeyer, for your 100th year of skiing, which is very cool. Unreal.
Amazing.
Unreal. That's amazing. Okay, that's all I got. Todd, what do you got? Anything?
I think that's good. I think we're good. Yeah, no,
we're good.
Yeah,
good. Okay, all right. I'll take us out, I guess. Move me back into the big time here. You should watch this on YouTube because then you can see Todd and Cory and Cory's art, which is right behind him in the photo, which is really cool.
It's so fantastic. You should look them up on.
I'll be watching
on the Google.
On the Googles,
on the Google.
Thank you to Banyan One for powering today's episode of Ogden Arts and Adventure Show. Listen and subscribe to Ogden Arts and Adventure on YouTube. Look for us on Facebook, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, thebanyancollective.com, and the Podbean app for Android and iPhones. If you want to be on the show or you have feedback for us,
good feedback. Positive feedback.
Only DM us on our Instagram at Ogden Adventure. Oh my gosh, we got to take you out with a song. Eddie looks like he's got to say something. Eddie,
I gotta pee.
Oh, you got to pee.
I needed that. I can check that off of my bingo
I got to
card.
pee too. I got to pull up our YouTube because we're going to leave you with the latest from Tycoon Machete, which is the song Weirdo Boy.
Eddie couldn't wait one.
He couldn't.
I'm sorry.
He's already getting going.
Listeners in.
Oh my God.
See, he never grew up.
Oh, no, he never grew up. All right, this is Weirdo Boy from Tycoon Machete on Van Sessions. We'll see you on the next Ogden Arts and Adventure Show.
By
Tycoon Machete on Van Sessions.